going on, guys? Meekachii here, and I feel like I just did a book haul and I already have 37 books.
You didn't. That was like 2 months ago when you did that book haul. It's been forever.
I said it feels like it.
It hasn't.
But you guys just got a book haul not that long ago. But anyway, somehow I ended up with 37 books. I'm going to try something new. Let me know if you guys like this. I'm going to kind of split it up. I'm going to start with books that I purchased, then finished copies that were sent to me, and then ARC copies that were sent to me. If you guys don't like that format and you just want me to just grab books and go, let me know in the comments down below. But that's how I'm going to do it for this video. And let's get started because I have a lot of books to talk about. First two books that I purchased this month are Echoes of the Everwar, Untold Tales, and Lost Lore. So these are basically like short stories, like two collections of short stories based on characters from the Everwar series. This is a self-published author, and I got his series a long time ago. Like, I probably read it like over 10 years ago. You can get the ebooks on Amazon for pretty cheap, but they're by an author named D.W. Hawthorne, and it is a really fantastic fantasy series. It's definitely adult. There are some dark themes in it, but it's a really good series. I have read most of these short stories before. Actually, I have them on Kindle. I never got the finished copies, and I like supporting small authors or small authors. He actually has a book that's being published now called Addie and the Scary Stories, I believe. Don't quote me. I'm totally going to get it when it comes out, but it's being published, I believe, in England. I like supporting them. I like buying the physical copies, so that's why I picked these up this month. Then I picked up Pacifica by Kristen Simmons. I honestly haven't heard too much about this book, but I've been like super in the mood for a good pirate story, and like they're like impossible to come across. I don't even know if this is really a pirate story. It doesn't really seem like it is. It's about a girl who's pretty much been at sea her whole life and knows that there's nothing really out there better than the land, or better than what's on land. But the land is really bad, and there's 500 people that win this lottery that get the chance to go out to sea for new adventure and something out there. I was just singing a Disney song, and that reminded me of it. She knows that there's nothing out there, but these 500 people don't, and now she's kind of like, well, what do I not know? Is there something really out there? I don't know, it just seemed like a really cool story. And at the time when I bought it, it seemed like a pirate story, but now that I'm reading the synopsis, it doesn't really, but it has pretty good reviews, so hopefully it's good. So then I picked up Sufficiently Advanced Magic by Andrew Rowe. Now, my husband tells me that this sounds like every anime on the planet, or basically, like, apparently this concept is a huge anime trope, and I think I've only seen one anime that has this trope in it, where it's basically a big tower, and as you go up in the tower, there's, like, levels and harder monsters to beat, and in this tower, apparently, it's got shifting rooms, traps, and monsters.
It's a video game. It's literally...
Yeah. Apparently, as you go up in this tower, it gets harder and harder, and once you reach a certain point, you can actually get granted magical powers, which is why people go into this tower. But you can actually go beyond that and go to the top spires of this tower and, I guess, meet the goddess. So, anyway, this boy's brother goes in there, doesn't come back, and then it's his turn. He's gonna go in there and try to see if he can get powers too. I don't know if they're forced to go in there. I don't know what the deal is. Originally, this was part of the... I always forget how to say this. SPFBO. SPFBO? Yeah. And so it was like a self-published book, and I think it got picked up by someone. I don't know. I've heard really good things, so I hope I like it. I'm sure I will. Then I got another title that was part of the SPFBO. I gotta learn how to say that. But it's Where Loyalties Lie by Rob Hayes. This one, I think, is also self-published still, because I don't see a publisher's name on it. I don't know anything about this book besides it's supposed to be a super awesome pirate story, and I think there's at least one other book out. Maybe two other books out. But I hear really good things. It's a pirate story. I'm really wanting like a good pirate story, and I can't find them lately, so that's why I picked this up. I picked it up. I can't today. I can't. Then I picked up Born by Jeff Vandermeer. Now, this is considered new weird, and it's literally like considered a very weird story. It just seemed so cool, and everyone that I've ever heard talk about this book says that it's really lyrical and the writing is just fantastic, and that it's actually a really great story besides the fact that it's really strange. Normally, I don't really like strange things, but I do like a beautifully written story, so I decided to give it a shot. So I think it's about this woman who's a scavenger, and while she's out scavenging, she finds this plant-like thing, and it's weird and strange, and she takes it back with her, and it turns out that it's actually alive. Like, as it starts growing and developing, she notices that it almost turns, like, into this creature with like a persona. So I just really wanted to read it because people keep saying how good it is and how well it's written. I really wanted to listen to this on audiobook, but I listened to like a sample of it and it was so boring sounding that I can't. Mm-mm. Then I picked up Arusha and the End of Time by Roshani Chokshi. This book has gotten a lot of hype on BookTube lately, but I feel like it's because a lot of people were doing like paid promotions of this. So I got sucked into buying it because, everyone's saying how great it was. I probably should not have bought it, but I don't know.
You.
I know. It's a middle grade novel, but then again, it does have really good reviews on Amazon and things like that, so hopefully it is good. It's basically about this little girl or young girl who tells a bunch of lies, and she lies about everything all the time. And so basically one day her friends show up at this museum, I believe, and she tells them a story about this lamp, and no one believes her because she lies all the time, and turns out there's a genie of sorts inside. That's all I know. And it seems really cute and interesting. It had pretty good reviews. My elbow farted. He's like looking at me like, what is that noise?
I got so scared just now.
Anyways, so that's why I picked that up. Let me know if you read it, if you guys like it.
I didn't even know that elbows farted.
Mine does. Wait, I can't do it again.
Yeah, I'm sure it was your elbow then. It's quite convenient that you can't do it again, but you could do it before.
Then I picked up Godblind by Anna Stevens. Really, I haven't heard too much about this book. I have been reading so much YA fantasy with all these like fluffy characters that are supposed to be like evil, but they're not really evil. And I just want like a good like gritty story. And I heard that this book is absolutely that. Like it's, I think, based around a kingdom where the king is mourning and he kind of gives up and just lets whatever happen, and there's just like crazy bloodshed and it's super brutal and gritty. And I'm just like absolutely in the mood for that right now. And this book is like super expensive in America, and I found it on Book Depository for like $8 or something. So that's why I got it there. It took a while to get in, but it's in pretty good shape. It's a little bit smaller, of almost like a mass market paperback, but not quite. But yeah, let me know if anyone's read this, and if it's got very mixed reviews. I don't know if it's because it's so like gritty that people hate on it so much, or if it's just not a good story. But it's got very mixed reviews. The people that like it really love it. Also on Book Depository, I've wanted the UK version of Strange the Dreamer for a while, and I ordered it. It took so long to come in because apparently I ordered the new paperback edition for the UK. And it is really pretty, but it is not the one that I wanted. I wanted this one, so of course I ordered a second one. So now I have two, and I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if I should give this one away because I didn't originally want this cover, but I still really like it. But I don't even know if I like this book. I just wanted this cover for so long that I just finally got it, and I was like, well, I want it, I need to get it. And it was actually pretty hard to find even on Book Depository because they're all, this one, and even the one I ordered had this cover on it. And then I called them and I complained, and they just said, well, whatever, sorry, you're bad, you can return it, but you have to pay like a fee. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to return it to the UK, it's going to cost more to send it back. But anyway, I don't know anything about the story. I don't want to know anything about the story because it's got such hype, and that's it. Let me know if you guys like it because I hear it's great. So then I picked up Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Ames, I think. This one I think at one point was an SPFBO book, but it did get picked up by Orbit for publishing. I actually started listening to this on audiobook few days ago, and I'm loving this book. The audiobook narrator is fantastic, and the story is so much fun. It just got such, like, cranky old people in it, and that's, like, I love cranky old people. They're just, like, my favorite kind of characters. Like, Up, that cranky old guy, he's fantastic.
That's the same reason I married you.
Because I'm cranky and old. How do I explain this book? It's set in a world where there are bands of mercenaries that are basically booked by bookers to go out and kill and slay magical evil beings. So things like dragons, orcs, like all sorts of fantasy characters that you can think of, or fantasy creatures. And Clay Cooper, the main character in this, used to be part of a band, and he used to be part of a really famous mercenary band back in his day. And then, you know, time happens, things happen, the band split up, they get married, have kids, do their thing. But then one day, his old bandmate shows up at his door and tries to get the band back together again to go help his daughter, who's basically in trouble. And this story is about how they're gonna do that. Like, they start trying to get the band back together, they go on this adventure. It's kind of like a travel story so far, but I'm just loving it. I'm really loving the world, and it's just very, like, World of Warcraft / Lord of the Rings / kind of Game of Thrones-esque, like, the world. I'm loving it so far. I really recommend this. I haven't finished it yet, but I can't imagine hating the end. And yeah, there's a second book coming out really soon. So then I picked up Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston, and I pre-ordered this when it first came out, and I think, yeah, my copy, it's upside down. Like, they literally printed the book upside down. I don't know much about this. It seems like a very, like, I say sci-fi because it's set in space, but that doesn't necessarily mean, like, sci-fi. I guess it kind of does. But it's a girl who, when she was younger, was found kind of in space by herself with a like metal dog. What's the word I'm looking for?
Robot.
I guess a robot. What do they call it?
Automaton.
Sentient android. But it's called DO9, like dog.
Get it?
It doesn't say that it's a dog, actually, but for some reason I thought it was a dog. Maybe I was reading DO9 and thinking dog. But then something happens to it, and she has to fix it, and there's some way she has to fix it. I don't know. She's on some quest to steal the coordinates to a lost ship that could offer all the answers, but some boy beats her to it, and I guess it's their story. I hear very mixed things about this book. When I first pre-ordered it and got it, it had fantastic reviews, and then, you know, of course, after it gets released and people start reviewing it, it has very mixed reviews. I still have high hopes for it, though. So hopefully it's pretty good. Let me know if you read it. Then I picked up The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I actually have an e-arc copy of this, and I don't know if any of you that follow me on Goodreads, I have been reading it. I'm only about 25% of the way through, but I'm actually really, really liking this book so far. I would not recommend reading the synopsis before you read this if you're interested, because it just spoils some major part that even 25% through the book I didn't know about. So yeah, don't read it all the way. It's basically about a young girl who is pretty poor. She's in kind of like a bad life growing up. She's studying really hard because she wants to pass this test to get into a military type school, and basically that's the only way that she's ever gonna make something of herself, and she doesn't have anyone to teach her. She's going up against all these boys and girls who have been studying their entire life for this test, and she basically studies for 2 years, and it's her journey of how she's gonna better herself. But there is a lot of, like, political talk in this, as far as, like, history, wars, strategy. Normally I don't really like that type of thing, but I'm not minding it in this book. I'm finding that the writing and the storytelling is good enough where it's not taking anything away from the story, and if anything, it's just adding on to it. I don't know what I would rate it so far, only being 25% of the way through, but I'm really enjoying it, and I picked up the physical copy of it because I'd rather read this than the ebook, and it was good enough to want to buy. So I then picked up The Map of Salt and Stars by Jennifer Jukadar. I probably totally butchered that. This one just came out. I just got it in the mail the other day, and honestly, I've heard the author for The City of Brass talking about this a lot and how much she really loved it, and I really liked her story. And it does have pretty good reviews from people that got ARC copies, so I decided to pick it up. It's basically about a girl who lived in New York City. Her father dies, and her mother decides to move her family back to her home country of Syria. There's kind of a war going on there, and they decide that it's not the best place to be, and they go on this venture out. But I don't know much about it besides that, and it's got alternating timelines, I guess, and it's just got really good reviews. Let me know if you guys have read this. Also, it's got like a really pretty, you probably can't see it on the camera, but this is like actually detailed.
Embossed.
Yeah, it has like a really pretty map on the inside. Always a plus. And deckled edges. Look at that. Someone paid big bucks. Actually, I don't know, is deckled edging more expensive nowadays or cheaper? Because I know that like back in the day, before like they learned how to like cut books cheaply, this is how books used to come, and this was considered the cheap way, but now this is considered the fancy way. I know, side note. Then I picked up A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, like 8 million other people on the planet. The fourth book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series, like a novella. I don't even know who this follows. I don't want to know. I really like just going into Sarah J. Maas books, not knowing much. I feel like the bigger she gets, the more her books get hate, and people really hated the last book of this series, but I honestly liked it a lot. And I plan on picking this up as soon as I'm done listening to Kings of the Wild on audiobook. I'll probably listen to this one. Then I picked up The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. I don't usually read this type of book, but I love ghost stories, and this seems kind of ghost story-esque. Basically, a long time ago, there was a school where troubled girls would go, and there was like talk about it all over the town, and it's supposedly haunted, and blah blah blah. It gets shut down. 20 years later, you're following this girl whose sister, I guess, was there and died. And something about the murder never seemed right to her, and she heard that this place is actually being renovated and kind of rebuilt, and she decides to write the story about it and kind of investigate what happened further. So yeah, it seems not really up my normal alley, but at the same time, it's got ghost elements, and I love ghost stories, and I've heard pretty good things about it, so hopefully it's pretty good. Oh crap, I don't want to talk about this book yet. Screw that. Alright. This book, I'm honestly, like, so excited to have, and it's only because of the name. And this is an absolute name buy because it's called Lorinda, and that's my middle name, and I've never, ever, ever heard that name besides me and my grandmother where it came from.
Meekachii, Lorinda, Ender.
But yeah, so Lorinda is not a common name. Let me know if you guys know anyone with that name because it's very uncommon, and this is even spelled exactly like my middle name. So when I saw that this was even a thing, I flipped out and I had to buy it immediately. And apparently, it's like not even published here in America, so I had to get it from like Australia. And it doesn't really seem like my type of book because Lorinda is actually the name of like a school for girls. Yeah. And it seems very like high school drama-y where, you know, like there's cliques and girls that rule the school and blah blah blah, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's a cover by. I'll totally read it because it has my name, but other than that, I didn't really care about it. Does that make sense? Then I picked up Star Wars The Last Jedi by Jason Fry. This apparently is some extended edition, which I don't even know what that means. Oh, you like how in the back it just says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
It's such a good cover. That looks so good.
It is. So it's just the novelization of the movie, but apparently this one has extra stuff in it. There's like color pictures in here. Look at that. I didn't even know that. They're just like straight up the movie if you've watched it. But yeah, I think me and Mr. Kivox are going to be doing a read of that book together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next 3 books are ones that were actually finished copies that were sent to me by publishers. So the first one is Ice Wolves by Amy Kaufman, which, as most of you probably know, is one of the authors for the Illuminae series. I've never read anything else by her. In fact, besides Illuminae, I don't think I own anything else by her. But this is a middle grade novel, and it's, I think, maybe the first book that she's done on her own. Don't quote me on that, and correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free, please, to leave me a comment. Let me know if she has other books by herself. It's a middle grade novel, basically, I think about elementals. Like, I don't know if these kids can shift forms. I guess so. They have elemental forms, and they either take the form of wolves or dragons, and they're kind of like clashing clan type deals. And I think there's siblings, and one is one and one is the other, and how does that even happen type thing. Don't want to know much more about it. It seems pretty interesting, and I'm just really excited to read anything else by Amy Kaufman because I love the Illuminae series so much, and if you guys haven't read it, you absolutely should. Then I got sent Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young, and this book is getting quite a lot of hype right now. It's basically a Viking story, like a young adult Viking story, about this girl who her whole life has known nothing but surviving and fighting and blah blah blah. She loses her brother 5 years ago, thinking that he was dead, but then she sees him fighting for the enemy. And that's all I know about it. I requested an ARC copy of this, but it was too close to the actual release, so they sent me the finished copy. So I'm definitely going to pick this up soon, especially because it's got such great reviews and such hype around it. I think it's out already. Then Disney was nice enough to send me a copy of Reflection by Elizabeth Lim. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Lim. But I was super excited to get this. It's basically a Mulan retelling. It sounds like it starts the same way where her father's sick. She doesn't want her father to go to war, so she poses as Ping, a boy, and goes off to war for her father. And I don't remember how to say this guy's name. Shang. So basically, he's the captain and takes a death blow for her, and she has to essentially travel to the underworld and get him back before sunrise, otherwise he's never going to come back again. And she feels like she's responsible for him and his life because he essentially took his life for hers. I don't know, I love Mulan. I think there's like a lot of hype surrounding Mulan right now because they are working on the live action movie, like Disney's working on it. But this just seems like a really cool story, and I love everything Disney, and I love Mulan, so you can't go wrong. So that concludes the finalized copies of books that I purchased / got sent to me. We're going to go on to the ARCs, which I don't know how I accumulated so many ARCs. I had no idea I had this many. 2 of these, however, are I won on Goodreads giveaways. Yes, you can win Goodreads giveaways. I've won actually quite a few books on Goodreads, and I never thought that you could win 2 books at once, but apparently you can because I won these like days apart from one another. The first one is The Boy and the Bird and the Coffin Maker by Matilda Woods. This doesn't say anything about it, and I don't remember what it's about. I can't get over how pretty the inside of this book is. There's so many like different borders throughout the entire book and some pictures. But I think it's really about a story of a lonely man and a lonely boy, and they get brought together and kind of how their relationship forms and bonds. It's a really short book. It's under 200 pages, and the words are pretty big. So I'm planning on picking this up relatively soon, and I don't know, I haven't heard anyone talk about this book, but let me know if you guys have read it and if you like it. This says it's an ARC copy, but I know that it was previously published somewhere. I don't know if it was in America, but it was published before. So then the second book that I won on the Goodreads giveaway was The Book of M by Peng Shepherd. This book came like absolutely annihilated. But whatever. I forgot to mention this one comes out in June. This one comes out like this month. So if you want to read this one, it comes out really soon. This one sounded so interesting, and it has fantastic reviews so far, the people that have gotten art copies of it. But basically, from what I understand, it's about this phenomenon that starts happening where people lose their shadows. And when you lose your shadows, you gain great power, but you at the same time lose all your memories. And it spreads like a plague, and people are like really afraid of this plague. That's really where I stopped reading it. I don't want to know anymore because it's so intriguing and it sounds so different. It almost sounds apocalyptic, but at the same apocalyptic.
That's a word.
Apocalyptic, yeah?
Yeah.
I think for some reason it doesn't sound right to me. I didn't want to know too much about it. It seems pretty cool. It seems like this post-apocalyptic slash like fantasy-esque world slash disease-ridden like weird situation, and I just don't read a lot of books like that, and it got really good reviews. It was something that I was gonna pick up anyway, and now I got a free copy of it, so that's awesome. But basically, this book comes out in October, so it's kind of far away from now, but Little Brown sent me Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Gone, I don't know. If I were just basing me requesting this book off of the synopsis, I probably wouldn't have requested it because it doesn't seem anything different from like the 500 other YA fantasy type books that I've read. But this has fantastic reviews so far, and people are saying that it's written extremely well. So I requested a copy, and they were nice enough to send it to me. It doesn't sound super original. Basically, this girl, there's a caste system in this world that she lives in, and this girl is in the paper caste, which is like a very low class. But she has these golden eyes that pretty much like glow, and she gets the eye of the king, and he takes her out of her paper home and brings her to the castle where she has to basically do whatever he says. We've heard stories like that a million times. I'm hoping that this will bring something new and kind of like give it a kick. And I don't know, it has really good reviews, so I kind of have high hopes, which might be bad, but we'll see. This book comes out in August. It's called Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennett. Honestly, I don't know much about this book, but I heard a lot of people talking about it, people that read a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, and it doesn't really, I mean, I lied. It does kind of seem fantasy-esque, but basically it's about this girl who's a really good thief, like super good, and she was hired to get this artifact, but she doesn't really know what it is, but it has like the power to change her entire world. That is as far as I read because that's all I want to know. People are really raving about this book so far, and it's not even out yet. So, are people in the fantasy realm, like people that enjoy fantasy novels, and I follow quite a few fantasy readers on BookTube, and pretty much all of them have talked about this. So yeah, I plan on picking this up pretty soon. Let me know if you guys have read it and if you liked it. So this book actually comes out in June, and when I requested Foundry Side, the publicist that contacted me back asked me if I would be interested in this book, and I honestly told him that I didn't know if it was my style, but that I would show it and kind of talk about it for a little bit, and I would give it a shot. But this is also a book that was an SPFBO title and got picked up by Penguin or Crown for publishing. So, I mean, it actually won, I think, SPFBO. So, it must be pretty good, and this compares it to Lord of the Rings and Sons of Anarchy. But basically, it's The Grey Bastards by Jonathan French. From what I can understand, The Grey Bastards are... I'm going to just read this to you. I know I hate reading these types of things, and I hate watching videos where people read them, but I don't know how to, like, tell you the synopsis. Basically, this guy is a Grey Bastard, which they're a sworn brotherhood of half-orcs, unloved and unwanted in a civilized society. They patrol the no-man's land called the Lots. They keep human civilization safe from invading bands of vicious, full-blooded orcs. So, I don't know. It doesn't seem like my type of thing, but I say that, but I am, like, a lover of, like, the Lord of the Rings movies. I didn't really overly love the Lord of the Rings books. You can kill me now, but they just kind of bore me. But I really like World of Warcraft. I was like addicted to it when I was younger, and they had orcs, and I don't know. I don't know why I initially said I wouldn't be into this, because apparently it was good enough to win SPFBO, and it was good enough to be picked up for publishing by Penguin. So I probably will actually give this a shot. And I don't know if you guys have read this, like if you read it during like the blog off, like let me know if you guys liked it. But like I said, at first I wasn't, I even told him, like, I'm probably, like, I'll give it a shot, but I don't know if I'll read it. I told him that I would definitely show it on the video, but I wasn't sure if it was for me, but I don't know, I researched it a little bit more, and people seem to really enjoy it, despite the fact that he's, like, a half-orc fighting other orcs. But I love fantasy, so maybe I'll end up loving it, who knows. These next two books might actually be, re-hauls. Like, I don't know if I hauled this yet. And I tried to watch my other videos and I can't remember. Basically, this one is The Trader's Game by Jennifer Nielsen. I actually read this. I haven't done my wrap-up yet, but I really did not like this book. I didn't like it to the point where I barely remember what it's about. I just kind of like got through it and just like, I didn't want to DNF it because it was an ARC that was sent to me, because I feel bad when I DNF these books, but it was nothing spectacular. The main chick character was really annoying, and she basically got exiled from her home for being a bad kid, and I don't know, then the king summons her back, or her father's not a king, he's some high class dude, and he summons her back, and then someone tries to kill her, and I don't know. Then she finds out there's some magical sword that can kill the all-evil immortal king, and she's going after this sword, and of course, like, her family is connected to this sword somehow, blah, blah, blah. It just bored the crap out of me, to be honest. But yeah, I'll talk about it more in my wrap-up. But I got that. I don't know if I, hauled that already. I may have hauled this also, but I got The Forest Queen by Betsy Cornwell, and this one comes out in August, and all I know is that it's like a Robin Hood retelling. That's it. And I think it's a female, you know, because YA loves to do stuff like that. But the words are really big. It's not even 300 pages. Female Robin Hood retelling. La-di-da. There's a sticker paper in here. But I don't know. Haven't heard anything about it. I just have never read a Robin Hood retelling, so I wanted it. Then I was sent actually from England, like an English publisher, The Exact Opposite of Okay by Laura Stephen. And this book, so basically I follow some British booktubers, and this book has like some really big hype in England. And it came out in America, I believe, in March. But essentially it's about how sometimes teenagers are not treated right, and this girl gets basically blamed. I guess she's a comedian or an aspiring comedian, and this photo comes out involving her, and it's, I believe, a doctored photo. It's not real, and she gets treated terribly for it, and she tries to brush it off and, you know, be her comedic self and whatever, but it's still really hard. And then she realizes that the way she's being treated and the way teenagers are treated in situations like this is not okay. And I don't know what else is going to happen in the story if she kind of has this like revolution or what's going to happen, but this book apparently is very well written and it has a lot of hype surrounding it. Like I said, I believe it came out in March, so I'm kind of behind, but I do plan on picking it up very soon. It's probably going to be one of my next reads. So I got this arc a while ago, and I don't think I ever hauled it. I'm sorry if I hauled it, but I don't remember. But it's Fury Born by Claire Legrand, and no, he's shaking his head no because he doesn't remember it. But essentially, this one comes out this month, so it comes out really soon, and this book has, again, I've said this 1,000 times in this video, basically the reason I request these arcs is because they either pique my interest for some reason or they have crazy hype surrounding them, and this is the latter. There is so much hype around this book right now. People seem to really love it. It's basically 2 stories in one. So you have 1,000 years ago, the story of this girl who has 7 elemental powers, and the only person that's supposed to have those powers is the Sun Queen, and she has to endure these trials to prove that she's the Sun Queen. And then modern day, you have this bounty hunter girl who is somehow connected to this queen lady from 1,000 years ago, and that's all I know. Their stories connect somehow, and that's it. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't want to know too much else because it's got such hype around it, and I feel like if I know too much more, I might either get my hopes too high or just get stuff spoiled for me. So let me know if you guys have read this or if you plan on reading it. I know a couple of people that I talk to regularly plan on reading that soon. So then I got an arc. This actually came out last month, so I'm a bit behind, but it's Circe by Madeline Miller. This is the same author that wrote that Song of Achilles book, which I have not read yet, but I hear really great things about it. I have to pick that one up. I don't know. I really have to read this one soon, but essentially I don't really know anything about Greek mythology besides what I've seen in movies, and I've never really read books about Greek mythology. So I'm not sure if this is a retelling or what it is, but essentially the back says that Circe is a woman that has witchcraft power. She has the power of witchcraft, which she can transform enemies into monsters, basically. I don't want to know too much about it because I feel I don't know anything about Greek mythology, so I want to kind of go into it blinded and learn as I'm reading. So if you guys have read this, let me know because, like I said, it is out already. And I know her other book got a lot of praise because it was written beautifully and people seem to really love it. So then I got Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. And I'm not really feeling contemporary YA right now, but at the time I was when I requested this. Basically, I guess it's about a girl who is put in this extremely difficult situation because she has a best friend and a twin brother, I believe. And the best friend accuses the twin brother of raping her. But she doesn't know who to believe because he's saying he didn't do it and it's her brother, but at the same time she knows her best friend. Her best friend would never lie. And it's kind of just a story about that, I guess. And I'm guessing some sort of self-discovery and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I don't know what to think about this because it's not usually my go-to read. But at the same time, again, lots of hype surrounding it. People saying it's fantastic. So I'll definitely give it a try. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but it comes out this month. Oh my god, I'm so excited for this one. So I got sent to me Escaping from Houdini by Carrie Maniscalco. This is the 3rd book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. If I remember, I don't want to spoil anything. I can't really tell you much about this because even saying what I was going to say is going to spoil it. But basically, each of these Stalking Jack the Ripper books have little mini plots within them. So they're all, you could probably read all of them by themselves, but there is her personal life and her personal story that goes throughout the series that you really should read the previous ones to get to this one. Even though like I said, Houdini's never been in the other 2 books before, and she takes fictional characters and creates stories around them. I say fictional characters. Dracula was in the 2nd book, or Dracula-esque characters, but I'm really excited. I'm really enjoying this series. This one comes out in September. The one thing I'm a little leery about is the ending of this is different than the final copy. I guess they printed these arcs after the 2nd round of edits, but after that she really decided that the ending needed to change, so eventually I'm going to have to get the finalized copy, which I would get anyway because I just love this series. But yeah, and again, the cover is really awesome. I just love this series. It's not a 5-star series for me so far, but it's a solid 4.5. I really enjoy this. So this one, I requested from Little Brown Books. It's another one of the James Patterson ones. It's called Campfire by Sean Sarles. This is just total slasher, thriller-esque book, and I just want something like I said before, kind of gritty and different. So I requested this one because people are saying it's pretty good. Basically, they're around a campfire, they're camping, you know, you probably guessed that from the title. They're camping, and the local guide tells them this story about how there are men in the woods. Are they men? Local legend of the ferocious mountain men. And they hunt unsuspecting campers and carve like antlers into their head or something. And then the story comes true, and it's kind of like, you know, thriller-esque slasher story, it seems like. At least I'm hoping that's what it is. I haven't heard much about it, so let me know if you guys have read it. So this book, when does it even come out? Oh, it comes out in July, so not too far from now. It's crazy that July is not that far. But it's called Empire of Silence, The Sun Eater Book 1 by Christopher Ruocchio. Why do I not look this stuff up? Yeah, this book is enormous. It's like 600 pages, and I did not know that when I requested an ARC of it. And I don't even know how to describe this book. So apparently this guy is renowned in the galaxy as a hero who saved them from some alien race, but he ended up killing the Emperor against Imperial orders. Blah blah blah. He's a monster now. I don't understand. This, like, the back doesn't make sense to me. On the wrong planet at the right time for the best reasons. He starts down a path that only can end in fire. Somehow he ends up on some place where he's forced to fight as a gladiator. I don't know. I heard about this from someone else who got an ARC of it, and they really loved it. I'm totally basing it off of someone else's opinion because I can't figure it out by the back of it. It's literally just like a little blurb, and I don't know. I hope it's good. So it was sent by Berkeley, which is a Penguin House company. The Mermaid by Christina Henry. I am like super crazy into like Barnum, but it's only because of The Greatest Showman. And I really love mermaids, and I've been wanting a good mermaid story, and I didn't really like the last mermaid story I read. So, yeah. But this one seems really neat. So basically, The Greatest Showman, just as a side note, paints Barnum to be in this, like, or P.T. Barnum, to be this, like, great guy who treated all of his people in his circus properly and was so fantastic. And I love that movie, and the musical was, like, fantastic. But, and apparently that's one big problem that people have with the movie, is that it portrays him in this great light when he really was kind of not the best guy on the planet. So this book has Barnum in it, but it portrays him more in the light that people tend to see him. I'm talking in the real world, not in the book world. So apparently there's a mermaid, so this is kind of merging fantasy with real life, and the mermaid doesn't want to be a mermaid. She doesn't want to live in the ocean. She wants to live on land. She comes on land and ends up working for Barnum. And she's under the impression that she can stop being a mermaid in his show and just leave anytime she wants, and apparently that's not the case. And it's really interesting to me, especially now, because I was really into that movie and heard different things. So I'm wondering if the author in this kind of researched who he was as a man and has more of him realistically in this story than the movie. I'm comparing the movie to this book, and they have nothing to do with one another. I'm just comparing them because they both portray Barnum, but in completely different ways. So yeah, apparently he was a very, like, money hungry and just, like, not very great dude, and that seems to be how he's portrayed in this. I could be completely wrong. I do plan on picking this up this month, so it will be in my next wrap-up, and I'll let you guys know. I don't know, I was really in the mood for, like, kind of a fanny. I was really in the mood for kind of a fantasy-esque story / I'm really into mermaids right now, and I'm really into, like, circusy show things, and this just, like, melds everything all into one, and yeah, it seems pretty interesting. And it comes out, when did I say? Did I say June 19th? Last but not least, I was sent Legendary, which actually comes out this month, so I am, like, crazy behind on my reading right now. But it is a sequel to Caraval. I didn't overly love Caraval, but I didn't overly hate it either. It was kind of in the middle for me, and it intrigued me enough to where I want to know what's going to happen next, so I requested this, and they sent me a copy. Flatiron Books sent it to me. And yeah, oh, it actually has a real cover under here. I don't know. This doesn't actually come off though. Anyway, I can't talk about this because literally, like, on the back, the very first sentence, like, spoils the ending of Caraval for you. So, can't say much. I'm intrigued enough to want to know what happens next. And that's about it. I'm sorry if that was really long. I appreciate you guys sticking with me throughout another huge book haul. I really have to stop doing this to myself and my husband because he has to edit this. And he's staring at me with evil eyes right now. But thank you guys for watching. As always, please let me know if you've read any of these books down below. Let me know if you plan on reading any of them. Also, if you want any of them to be part of the book club, I'm always open to book club suggestions, so you can put that down below. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it, and hit that little bell if you want to be notified for when we come out with new videos. We do book clubs every single month. It is the last Sunday of May for this month. We are reading Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody and Time Bomb. I can't remember the author to Time Bomb. Something Charbonneau. So those are the May books. We will vote during the live stream for June's books. So if you want to join the live stream, feel free to do so. All you have to do is read the books and join. That's it. We also do a live stream every Friday if you just kind of want to get to know me and my husband a little more personally. We just have fun, talk to people. That's about it. I'm ranting. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sticking it out with me, and have a good night, day, whatever it is.